Welcome to Your Money Guides, brought to you by Interface Financial Planning.
Tim and Lillian, planning for the unexpected. When Alan first met Tim in February 1999, he needed financial advice. He was introduced to Alan by another client and had never visited a financial advisor before. But he felt it was time to organise his finances and plan for the future. Tim was married to Lillian, who he brought to the first meeting, and the two became Alan's clients. As a child, Tim had unfortunately suffered with polio. As a result, he wore a raised heel on one foot and often needed to wear a caliper to alleviate his pain. In fact, he suffered with pain regularly, which is one of the after effects of polio. But nevertheless, he wanted to make the most of his life. He refused to let any discomfort get him down. One of the first things that the couple wanted to do was to pay off their mortgage with their available cash. Before Alan cleared their mortgage, there were a series of meetings where they all discussed various aspects of Tim and Lillian's finances and rearranged their affairs. Within their financial planning, Alan altered the couple's banking arrangements and set up a management system. He purchased NHS Added Years for Lillian, rebrokered their general insurances, and drew up the couple's wills and enduring powers of attorney. As soon as all of the above had been completed, Alan reduced their mortgage and then cleared it completely. Tim was just 52 years old, debt-free, and with financial plans coming together nicely for the future. With regard to investment, Tim had dabbled a little but needed some guidance. His paperwork was very muddled and took Alan some time to sort through. Tim's investments had mostly been taken out on a whim, from a friend around the corner or through a must-buy he'd seen in the Sunday newspapers. Once Alan had reorganised Tim's paperwork, and, following several discussions, everything was neatly arranged into a sensible portfolio with a suitable diversification and risk level, as well as at a low cost. The next area to tackle was Tim and Lillian's future. But before that, Tim gave himself a task. His priority was to plough through his existing investments and sort those out, then move on to discussing the future. Once all of the above was organised, Alan, Tim and Lillian finally began to discuss the couple's future plans. Of course, with Tim's disability, he was aware that as he grew older, it might become more of a problem to deal with. One way to navigate any potential problem was for Tim to retire early, and he wanted to know if he could afford to do that. He'd already accumulated 30 years in his occupational final salary pension scheme and had an early retirement option with an actuarial reduction from the age of 55. Alan used his own lifetime cash flow skills to work out what Tim could do, and he was delighted to hear that he could indeed take early retirement and receive his occupational pension at the age of 55. Using the aforementioned lifetime cash flow skills formula, it was also apparent that the couple could maintain their desired lifestyle by taking an income from Tim's investments. However, as is often the case in life, things did not go the way they were expected when the next year Tim's employer ceased trading and he was made redundant. Consequently, Alan had several discussions to work out next steps. Tim decided to get another job with a view of retiring in 4 or 5 years' time, in line with the earlier planning. He received a redundancy payment and some of it was used towards Tim's investment portfolio. Additionally, Alan retained an amount in cash so the couple could go on a Mediterranean holiday. This was something Tim had dreamed of. He'd never been abroad before. So off the couple went to Spain, and upon Tim's return he was excited. The couple had both fallen in love with the sunny shores and decided to completely change their lives by upping sticks and moving there permanently. Alan organised financing for their new house in Spain on a flexible basis so it could be paid off without a penalty when their house in the UK was sold. Fortunately, their UK house was sold soon after their move abroad, which enabled the couple to redeem their new mortgage. The two moved to Spain in 2002 and were able to stay in touch on a regular basis. One little piece of information that always makes Alan smile is that before Tim left for a new life in Spain, he'd built up a small collection of shoes with raised heels, as he was worried he might not be able to get hold of them in Spain. Amazingly, within a few months of living in Spain, Tim no longer needed his special raised heel shoes. The warm, dry weather meant he no longer suffered with pain in his leg. For the first time in over 40 years of living with the after effects of polio, Tim was finally pain-free. When Tim and Lillian's English house sold, the amount it raised was considerably more than the purchase price of their new home in Spain. So the surplus was added to Tim's investment portfolio, which enabled him to draw more income. Life was good for a while. Unfortunately, while Tim absolutely loved his life in Spain, Lillian didn't, and she wanted to return to the UK. Eventually, the couple got divorced, and in the financial settlement, Tim kept his home in Spain, while Lillian received a share of the investment portfolio. Brexit was on its way, and during one of Alan's last conversations with Tim, he was still living in Spain, he confided that he was concerned about the effect of Brexit on his residency status in Spain and his access to European healthcare. He felt he was being forced into returning to England, which he didn't want to do, but the sale of his Spanish home wouldn't provide sufficient proceeds for him to buy a house in England. By this point, Tim was well into his 70s and with limited options. He was a casualty of the madness of Brexit, and there was nothing Alan could do except console him. Tim was angry, especially with the right-wing nationalist vote, which had put him in an impossible situation. Sadly, a few months after this conversation, Alan found out that Tim had died. So he no longer had to face the consequences of Brexit, unlike the rest of us. The big question is whether Alan made a difference to Tim and Lillian's lives. Alan thinks he will leave that to you to make the judgment. Did Alan get tremendous satisfaction from helping both of them at a crucial point in their lives? Absolutely. Does Alan feel angry that his client's plans for retirement to warmer climes was ruined by Brexit? Well, guess what? Alan's furious, and it happened to many clients of his. Finally, the key pointer Alan wants you to take away from Tim and Lillian's story is that life events show that financial planning should always be flexible, allowing for the unexpected. It's something that Alan's always put into place for his clients and has done so since his early days as a financial advisor. Investments should almost never be tied up for lengthy periods of time unless there's strong reason for doing so. Thank you.
For more information, visit our website at interfacefinancialplanning.co.uk.